Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Let me just fix this. All right, thank you guys for tuning in this morning. We've got, well, still over an hour to the bell, but the market may not want to wait. Of course, you can start trading pre-market at 4 a.m. and looks like some did on DWAC. Market and volume picked up on the early side. Notice that yellow line. So that yellow line there I had drawn from yesterday. It's coming right, it's already hit it twice. So that was from previous days right through this area. Pre-market high 112. So intraday orange line, I'll mark right there, 112. Pivot yesterday, 115, and then next pivot 121, and then you're getting back up into this area. It's tricky. I'll say without a doubt that this reversed fairly hard off that squeeze to 175. It did. It went from 175 all the way down to 82 bucks, bounced, and then down to a low of 77. And then back up, bounced to 115. That's a lot of range. After hours was down around 77. Now it's back up over 100. So these are big moves, big swings for sure. And it's one that we'll be watching closely, I would think. However, I think if we're going to be realistic that the move has already happened and that the big move was these 2 days here and this was the top. And so with that in mind, I think that this move in here could be heavily shorted as traders, some traders apply some FOMO, catch some FOMO and try to ride the momentum, while perhaps smarter traders recognize that this really is a volume. This is a top, parabolic top, and it's very unlikely that it actually is able to reclaim those levels in the next day or two. So that's what we've got there on DWAC. And then similarly on PHUN, I think it's kind of the same story where we had that crazy move, and it's pretty unlikely that we're able to reclaim those levels this morning. It's just not likely at all that this goes back to 18 or 20 bucks this morning. I'm not saying it's impossible, but my job is to look at patterns and try to recognize patterns, and it would not be a common pattern that I'm particularly familiar with to see this go back up to 22. So what I'd really be preferring to look at would be some type of fresh momentum where a stock was still at the beginning of this ramp going up. So what's still ramping up? You look at BENE. This one was ramping up on Friday. But it's tricky because it went all the way to 19 and then back to 11. So it is back up, but that's certainly got to break over 20. So that's a possibility, but the chart's a little funny on that one. The float's 10 million shares. It is easy to borrow. The fact that shares are available to borrow makes me think perhaps that market makers were wanting to hold it back a little bit, make it easy to borrow. So I'm a little hesitant on that one as it sits right now. Mark, the leading gapper this morning. And of course, for those not familiar on YouTube and Facebook, thank you guys for tuning in. So the scanners that I'm looking at, the scanners that I'm using, these are all part of the Warrior Trading platform. So as a Warrior Pro student, you have access to the chat room, you have access to educational courses, and you have access to the scanners that I've developed over the years. So I have my own development team that's built these out. All right, so Mark is a 99 million share float up here, so I'm not particularly interested in that. By the way, please hit the thumbs up as soon as you guys get logged in. It really makes a huge difference for the channel when you guys do that. So thank you for doing that. All right, so yeah, Mark, 99 million share float, a little higher, but this is more within the pattern of still ramping up. Hasn't had that real top peak that I would say yet. So we're still moving up, which is good, but the float's a bit higher. SONM. I'll also be watching for possible news at 8:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. I mean, I'll be watching for news kind of the whole morning, but news is definitely something to keep an eye on. SONM, we need to get back above 450. CRTD from Friday. This one, so it's just kind of like, it's just tough. It's way up, way back down, way up, way back down, way up, a little bit back down. Maybe, but I don't know. It's gapping up right now, 67%. Now, I don't scan for warrants. It's typically not been my strategy to trade warrants. Having said that, we have had action on warrants the last, couple trading sessions. So BENEW, those warrants have moved up from 350. I mean, that's crazy, at 7 a.m. all the way to 7. So when they went up like that, the underlying stock also went up substantially. That was at 7 a.m. when it went from 14 to 20. So the stock went up 6 points, which was like 50%, and the warrants went up almost 100%. CRTDW warrants, those are back up, but typically the warrants will follow the stock. So it's kind of like trading an option contract in a way. The liquidity is usually not as good as the underlying asset, but the price being lower can make them more favorable, and the volatility being quite high can also make them favorable. So PHUNW warrants on Friday went from 9 to 19, so they went up 100%, but then the underlying stock also basically did the same move. Went from 8, actually the underlying stock made a bigger move, even percentage-wise. So I think generally warrants are not my cup, they're typically have not been my cup of tea, although I did have some nice trades on warrants in the last week. They're typically not my cup of tea. I'd prefer to trade the underlying asset, the stock. So if we have one that's really, really obvious, then it's possible that I'd be willing to trade the warrants on it. But I'm not going to jump in, like, if warrants are hitting the high day Momo scanner, I can't, it would be kind of stupid to jump into those without first looking at the stock, because it's possible that you could have some imbalance where the warrants do make a big move and the stock isn't, but that doesn't feel like it would be a sustained move, because that shouldn't really happen. The calls shouldn't go up if the stock is flat or going down. Now, they can because of implied volatility and some other factors, but warrants, it just shouldn't really be like that. So that's something to be just mindful of. So I'm not scanning for warrants. I'm not really looking at them too much, but if we do end up with one really obvious stock, and we had DWAC, which was crazy, and DWAC warrants, which also were crazy, then, okay. At the end of the day, the warrants on this one were good for me on Friday because the stock was so expensive, right? The stock was just too expensive in a way for me to take as much size. So I think I might have made a little bit more on the warrants, because at a cheaper price, I was able to trade it with bigger size. So that would be the same with trading calls or puts. Warrants are, it's basically, it's like an option contract. It's the right to buy the stock at a later date. So with like IPOs or SPACs, they'll purchase the stock, but then they'll also purchase warrants, which gives them the right to buy more stock down the road. And sometimes they'll execute on that, and sometimes they won't. They typically will. I mean, these SPACs have been remarkably successful recently, so most people probably would execute the warrants, but I don't know. Maybe not. Political stocks are also very interesting. Stocks have become like a political protest in a way because you start. See, what it does is it only heightens the emotion in the trade. And heightened emotions can mean people get stubborn, they get more aggressive. People say, I don't like Trump, so I'm going to short this stock. That's a fundamental, that's a bias, it's an emotional bias. And you can have it the other way too. Someone says, I really like Trump, I want to buy this stock. And that, again, I mean, it becomes a political protest, so it creates this emotion in the stock that we typically don't see. We did see it a bit last summer with some stocks that were so-called like Black Stocks Matter, which wasn't probably trending on Twitter, but was a thing, and we saw it with UONE and Carve, and there were a couple others. So that had sort of its own political component to it, which is unusual, but is part of this day and age. And of course, that's, that I think that's probably to be expected given the political environment that we're in right now. So that is worth noting, because if there's some hedge funds that I think 20% or so of the hedge funds that were in this SPAC, DWAC, sold as soon as they found out that it was a Trump partnership. So they voted in that way to say, no, we don't want to be involved with Trump, and they sold it right away. Now that would have been probably back here when it was like $15, goes up to 175, and these are hedge funds that had millions of shares. So I mean, 3 million shares times $100 a share, that's hundreds of millions of dollars. But that's, of course, their right to do that. And on the other side, there might have been firms out there that say, oh, we're going to short this because we have such a political thing here as well. And so that could create a short squeeze. I don't know if it will, but it's just something to be mindful of. In any case, the fundamentals and an emotional bias can be sometimes confusing, because at the end of the day, as a technical trader, focusing on the technicals is most important. So from a technical perspective, this was a very strong top. That's the line in the sand where the front side of the move was from here to here, and this is right now the back side. Even if we come all the way up to 150, it ultimately still is the back side. You can trade on the back side of the move, but you're not going to have the same level of FOMO-MOMO that you would have on the front side of the move. So you have to be a little bit more careful. Those streaming on YouTube or Facebook, if you haven't already checked out my strategy, I'll give you the link here. So, what I'm talking about, this is the type of stuff that we talk about in the classes. I mean, the political stuff. But generally speaking, the Warrior Starter course is a 15-chapter introductory day trading course. And the Warrior Pro course includes the starter, and then also includes 20 chapters of advanced strategy development, where I teach you my strategies. So sometimes people think, oh, what is the video course? Is it just like all of his YouTube videos in one spot or something? And it's actually a curriculum. It's actually a course. We have quizzes. It's in learning management software, and you guys can stream it as you'd like on your own time. So, anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you in case you haven't seen that already. And if you're not understanding how I find stocks to trade, things like that, you can always register to the free class here. can check that out. So thank you guys on Facebook and YouTube who are getting tuned in and for hitting the thumbs up. Really appreciate it. So back to the gap scan. 8:30 came and went. Didn't see anything particularly exciting. So we had some great opportunity last week, and now it's important to be careful because it does feel like perhaps we're on the backside of that momentum and we need something else to replace it. Or for it to do what is uncommon, which would be for it to go all the way back through new highs. The only way it really becomes front side again, or shows that it was never really the backside, is if it goes back to the highs. PHUN, the float is higher on it. Traded 600. Let's see, how many million shares was that? Such a big number. 647 million shares on Friday. It's crazy. Let's see. AUPH, let's see. Speculation of a buyout. Nice on Tesla. Good job. Good work. There you go. That's a nice breakthrough 900. So breaking through that double top there. I wasn't sure it would break through because often we would see resistance there, but right through. So all the way to a high of 950. TRKA already popped up and pulled back. So morning momentum is when I like to trade, but it doesn't mean that you can't have momentum in the afternoon or later in the day, and some traders do trade afternoons. Of course, the market closes at 4 p.m. If you focus just on trading after hours, that would not be typically the most active time to trade. Some might, but no need to spam the chat. You'll just get banned if you do that on Facebook, YouTube. So right now, just sitting tight, waiting to see if we have any news at 9 a.m. that gives some interesting opportunities. Reminder, as always, for those streaming on YouTube, trading is risky, in case you didn't already know that. Don't try to blindly follow me or anyone else. You shouldn't trade with money you can't afford to lose. As always, my results are not typical. We have about 6 minutes until 9 a.m. So DWAC, pre-market, DWAC warrants. Warrants, we're at 43, which is obviously a lot more affordable than 110 on the stock, but pre-market high 112.49, so 112.50 roughly. BENE broke out at the same time there as DWAC, so those two are sort of trading in tandem. So from 106 to 112 on DWAC stock. Let's see what we get at 9 a.m. if we get some breaking news. It's getting cold up here. Cold in my office today. The price on DWAC is a factor for sure. I mean, you know, most traders can't buy that many shares of it. There are some traders out there that have, you know, multi-million-dollar accounts, but those are not the majority of traders. And a stock like this, you need multi-point breakouts. You can't just get 20 cents or 30 cents. 20 cents or 30 cents is like taking 2 or 3 cents profit. That's not worth it. Because when you get in, you're risking $1 a share at least, maybe $2 a share. So, you know, if you got in there for the break of 12, right now, you've got 12.11 on the bid, 12.75 on the ask. You've got a big spread. I mean, that's not enough. You need, on something of this price range, like a 5-point setup. PHUN moving up a bit. DWAC, PHUN on the scan. So we're coming kind of into that 9 a.m. spot. Yeah, lad. So you could see that on the level 2. So level 2 and learning to read where those levels are, that's all part of chapter 9. So what I'm struggling with right now is not knowing which one is the obvious one. It's important to be, a bit of a sharpshooter here with this type of stuff. A stock like DWAC, you jump in that the wrong spot, that just dropped from 14 to 12.50. I mean, you could get some huge rejections. You've got to be really, really careful. The warrants, those are always going to be tricky. So there's 9 a.m. Let's see if we get, I mean, it's a bit of a long shot to get breaking news. It's going to be strong enough that it's going to become the primary stock today, because we're just going to have a lot of people watching stuff from Friday. So we have a news feed right in the chat room. We'll see if there's any good news on that. GOEV, there's a headline, but not really into that right now. Pixie launch of groundbreaking SPAC offering. There's already big sellers on the ask on it. ACAD. So for those on YouTube and Facebook, you can see these are the headlines right here coming out. Move this down here. The price action on the tape, it's likely ADFN orders going through. Let me look at it. Well, it's already got 52 million shares of volume also. It's just a very high volume stock. Those on Facebook and YouTube, please hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Really appreciate that. It makes a huge difference for the channel. You gotta feed that YouTube algorithm. So right now, it's just calm, cool, collected, waiting. I'm ready to strike, but I'm waiting. I want to make sure that I get a really good trade. It's better to take 2 or 3 really good trades than take 100 so-so trades, because of course every trade you take carries risk. I did a YouTube live last week in the evening, and I do sometimes jump on live, at night when I'm sitting on the couch. So if you want to make sure you get the notification when I go live, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I had said when we cross over 1 million subscribers, if we can do it by the end of this year, I will do a new small account challenge on January 1st. So goal is 1 million subscribers by December 31st, and then small account challenge January 1st. So I finished last week, I finished Friday up $115,000, which was phenomenal. It puts me up around $250,000 on the month in trading profits. And, you know, as we sit here on Monday morning, I don't need to take low quality setups. I don't need to get caught in taking an entry on DWAC that's not right. DWAC could easily produce $15,000, $20,000 losses, and in fact is very unlikely to produce a big winner for me. It's too expensive at this point. It's just too expensive. Can't take enough shares to get a big winner on this stock. You know, I mean, I'm not saying if we get a nice squeeze from 115 to 120 or something like that, we could get something, but it's very unlikely that I would make $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 on DWAC today. The price is just too high. And if I tried to take, even if I had the buying power to take 10,000 shares, the liquidity is not great for that because the spread, 1375, 1369, look at how fast it's dropping on 700 shares of volume. Right? So if you wanted to sell 10,000 shares, it's got almost 9.5 million shares of volume, but the liquidity right now is not good enough for taking big size. So even if I had the buying power, it wouldn't be safe. I'd be risking $2 or more a share. Let me look at that. So, is there a catalyst on BKKT? If it breaks 11, I might be a buyer. So I'll take a starter there at 11 on BKKT, and I'll add over 12. This one's hitting the scans. 1250 is my next add. So this is about being disciplined. One good trade. Watching now for the break of 13 on BKKT. Add is 1275, and then look to ride that momentum up to 13. I haven't sold any yet. I'm still looking to add. This is a fresh gapper. Buying the dip at 1238 there for the breakthrough 1255, and taking half off at 1260. I'm a little cautious on it. The high is 13. My new order goes at $13. Nice job. So he's in from 10:30. Good job. I'll hold 1,000 shares with a stop at break even. Switch to this account and look for another trade. Thank you for calling that to my attention. There you go. Look at that. So now watching. Taking a little more profit at 1320. The high of that candle is 1390. On something like this, I like to take profit as it goes a little higher. What I like about it is, of course, the price. It's much more affordable. Now I chased it a little bit. The initial entry down there around 10:30. I jumped in at 11. Average right now is 1146. . So high is 1390. So that was pretty much one trade, one entry, well, scaling in right around 11, and then first 1 minute candle to make a new high. It's up 44%. There's a 20,000 share buyer down there in the 70s. Volume weighted average price is 1183. So I can keep holding with a stop at break even and look to add back on more opportunities. So there's a big buyer down there, as you can see, in the 1270s. I'm going to dip trade this at 1295. So just add it at 1295, and my next add will be 1325. I'm trying to time the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. And I'm going to add there at 27. I took some profit at 30, then added back at 27. My next add will be 1375. We'll see if it breaks over 14. The low of this candle here is 98. $13.05 on the ask. So we hit a high of about $13.50. This is an ABCD pattern right now, where we have support at 69 and the high is 59. So I'll add at 97 there, buying the dip off of that support level, and hold 3,000 shares. So not as big of a trade on this one, reducing my size a little bit. My average is 1298. The high of this candle is 59, so new order 1375. About 20 minutes to the bell. Watching for a dip off of 69.70, because this is where we had support previously, right down here, 69.70. Added right there, 88. For the break back over 13. So that's a flat bottom setup that you see there. So on this one, this starts to get into more active trading. 37,000 share buyer, see that? The 37,000 share buyer that just popped up. Now there's a 50,000 share seller at 50. Will it break that level? If it does, we know 59 is our apex. 1359. Watching on a dip. There's some sellers here at 40. I'm going to take a little more profit off the table at 38. I'm going to let it dip and then put an order at 1350. Added at 34 right there for the breakthrough. Watch the tape at 50 as it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So looking to add for the breakthrough 1350 and then a squeeze. There you go. And you always want to take profit into that level and then add back over 75.85. Adding at 75 now for the squeeze through 14. So holding right now 4,000 shares. reducing my size and looking to do a dip trade. It's a bit of a top and then a reversal, so this could be a dip opportunity. But remember why it's so important, adding at 13.15. So bought the dip there, 13.15, for the pop back up to 13.50. The reason it's important to take profit on these is because you never know how high it's going to go. I'm taking a loss on that ad. Watching, added back at 88 and 96. And took profit as it popped back up there. About 15 minutes to the bell, that 20,000 share added there at 30, 70,000 share buyer on the level 2, right there. See the 70,000 shares? So there's some big buyers on this stock. That's great to see. So it took small profit there, but we rejected off of 14, and we've rejected off that level now twice, where it hit a high and then pulled back. There's a buyer now at 37. So I don't know if these are dip traders, but these are good to see. DWAC, I'm not super interested in it right now. I'm more interested in front side momentum. That 70,000 share buyers right there. I'm going to add at 43. If we can get the break through 1375 and 14, then we're in better shape. Hidden seller there, unwinding the rest of the position for now. 90,000 share buyer at 50. So what's up with these big buyers? $12.69 is support. GRNQ, a little on the cheaper side, but maybe worth watching as well. 34 million share float. So the nice thing about GRNQ is that it's cheaper, but this is again that kind of FOMO MOMO. I don't want to buy into it right here because it's up a little too much, but although I guess if it squeezes through 50, I'll take a starter at 50, and then I'll add over 60. All right, so added there at 60. Let's see if this just squeezes right up to $3. Next add would be 75. So added at 71. Then 85 and 90. So let's watch over 285. You've got 20 million shares of volume on this. Taking a little off the table in the 80s to pay myself. It's the right thing to do. New order goes at $3. This was an extended entry. It's called a $half whole dollar entry. The high is 86. Holding 3,500 shares. New order at 3. Watching for dip entries. Dips off of 250. This one is clearly extended, but front side of momentum. Watching down here. Starter at 53, buying the dip. That's off of 250, so buying the whole dollar. Now I'll look to add over 265 and 275 for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. So watch 265. Taking profit on it for right now. Come on in, girl. Go lay down. Go lay down. The low there is 252. Possible double bottom entry. BKKT still watching. High of that candle is 67. BKKT is a little extended. I'd probably take some profit off the table. There's a 50,000 share seller at 95. Where would I be a buyer? We'd have to break through 1410 for a move up to 1450. There's sellers there at 95 and at 80. So see that rejection off that level? About 9 minutes to the bell. So those tuning in on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Really appreciate your support. BNE, I'm not sure about it because it feels still like the backside from the move yesterday, but you know, it is higher, so I guess the pivots here like 1840. I'm not a buyer yet. Have to be a little careful with scattered momentum. I always do better when we have one very obvious stock. When things are scattered, I struggle a bit. So we do have BKKT, which is a flat top right around 14. We have GRNQ, which basically rode through a volume top. Jumped in at the $0.50 for that continuation extension all the way up to 86, which was great. Back of mind was hoping maybe we'd get a break of 3 and some fireworks a little higher, but that's okay. And BKKT still worth keeping an eye on. There were those big sellers though, and I didn't see really those sell orders get executed or filled. Let's draw an ascending trend line. There's DWAC moving a bit higher. DWAC up 5 points there, just from 10 to 15. So that's good for momentum in general. But we know the price is a little too high to manage risk safely on it. My broadcast is showing it's really running pretty well. I'm not getting dropped frames or anything. You could try refreshing on your side. So with DWAC, we wanted to see it over 115 and then through 115, 121. There's 120 on the ask, so you see how it's starting to pull away faster here. But then 117.50 on the bid, reminding us that those spreads are pretty intense when they start to open up. BENE moving a little higher, so a little sympathy to DWAC. The level I have marked out on DWAC is 121.99. 121.99, and then you're getting into these red candles. The fact though is, at the open we typically have high volume. So look at the high volume we had on DWC at the open yesterday, or Friday. So super high volume there. Sorry, it was right here. That was the first day. So super high volume right here. Then very low volume after hours and pre-market. So when the bell rings, we will likely get volume spiking up, increasing, maybe up into this level. Now the price being higher, that's going to reduce the volume because it takes more money to trade the same number of shares. So volume will decrease as the price goes up, but we will see an increase in volume at the open versus pre-market. And that could be all it takes to push us through that 121, 130 level, potentially. So I think it's worth watching, but the spreads will be a factor on it. It's 1850 by 17 by 18. It's a full dollar spread. You know, I can't take that with 3,000 shares. You know, that's just too much risk. I'm taking less risk on BKKT, you know, or GRNQ. GRNQ pulling back, that's not super surprising. This would be a pretty good example of a volume top. I'll actually take a screenshot of this for the classes. So the entry for me was at the $0.50, which is acceptable. Added a little higher and then took profit as it started to stall out. Let's see, so I'll just save that screenshot, volume top. BRPM, where's that one on the scans? What's the catalyst on BRPM? I'm not totally clear. 2 minutes to the bell. BKKT, I think we do have the risk of a false breakout where it breaks and then pulls back. But having said that, there may be some opportunity. So to buy a dip, maybe then for a trade over 14. And given how hot the market is, if it pulls away from 14.10, 14.20, then we'd be looking for continued momentum. BKKT, while risky certainly is, probably easier to manage risk on than DWAC. Flat top breakouts recently have been popping and then reversing hard. So they've been a bit of a trap as a setup. It's not one that I'm feeling super confident in. One minute to the bell. So I'm gonna watch coming into the open here. Not watching GRNQ anymore because that one's pulled back too much. But I'll watch DWAC. This one certainly could be volatile. I'm going to take a quick starter on DWAC for the break of 120 going into the open. What I'm looking at is an add over 122 and continued squeeze higher. So watch DWAC for the add over 121. It's hard to manage risk on it. I'm holding 500 shares. I took a little profit off the table. We've got 4 seconds to the bell, and I'm putting my new order at 122. Halt level's a little ways away. I'm still holding 282 shares of DWAC. Watching for a dip. Bought the dip at 1390, but still holding partial. We'll see if it reverses off of this level. Holding, I'll put an order around 105 for a dip on DWAC. And I'm going to watch BKKT, starter on BKKT long for the break of 14. So let's watch BKKT for the add over 1375. Nope, stopped out of that too. 24 and 38. So what we're seeing right now, I think probably because DWAC is pulling back a little bit, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback in general. So that was a quick trade that I got in and stopped out really quickly on. The high here is 14. That's the level that needs to break. Watching for reversals and red to green moves. HUDI, it's just tricky because with these other ones pulling back, it's hard to know which one's going to work, which one's going to open up. That one went from 1320 to 1480, but it could reverse quickly. Yesterday's high was 1595. BKKT. A red to green obviously would be through 14. I'll take a starter there on BKKT at 1330. Let's see if we get a red to green on this through 1350 and then 1375. I'm unwinding the position. I was went red on it versus my entry. DWAC right now is showing as a flat halt. Halt down 108, 88, showing, well, 108 right now. Very choppy right here at the open. So we had good action pre-market, and right here at the open it's very choppy. So right now waiting for those red to green moves. So DWAC, I'm up 2,300 on it at the moment, but we'll see how it opens. Showing 108 right now. My initial thought is to try to buy the dip. We've got the volume weight average price at 105. Resumption in about 1 minute. Putting an order at 110 to add. KRPB coming up a little bit on the scans. Okay, so putting my order at 109. Watching for resumption. We're showing a flat resumption, which is bullish. Added there, 108 for the break back over 110. Stopped out, down 10,000 on DWAC. Stopped at 106, which is right at the VWAP, but at the same time, if it doesn't go right away, I gotta get out. So up 21,000 here. Gave back probably around half. I think I was up around 38, 39,000. So far, we haven't gotten any good red to green moves. Nice bounce on DWAC, but it's a long ways from being a really nice red to green. KRBP, or K, let's see, KR, yeah, KRBP, showing a little bit of strength. We can see if it holds. DWAC back to 97. PHUN could give a bounce around $9. maybe a spot to watch. CYN. So this is probably worth watching because it's a recent IPO, but I'll take a starter at 63 and I'll add at 85. The thing on this is that we would need to see a break through $8 on CYN. So the add spot for me would be 775, 85, and 95. The high from the other day is 870. So that's the level we want to see break, 870. Watching for an add over 75. Holding 11,000 shares. PHUN, nice bounce there. I was thinking that might be one to watch. Watching PHUN. Stopped on CYN to focus on PHUN. I think I missed the good dip trade. CYN needs to break over 8, PHUN up to $10. Nice. Nice bounce off of 9. So gave back half my profit, just about. I'm not sure if there's going to be, I haven't really gotten any super good red to green moves on the stocks that I was watching from pre-market. CYN needs to open up a bit more. No, I didn't see that. I don't have one. So I think to have a really good day today, we would have needed DWAC to at least hold at the open. The fact that it rejected that strongly, not great. It was against a pivot of 21.99, which I thought was going to break, but it didn't. So waiting to see if we have one today that catches a little bit more interest in FOMO and starts to really pick up some speed. We might. Right now, there's not an obvious one. So I'll have to wait for the obvious one. Nice job. Good work getting green. High day on KRBP is right around 80 something, but seems to be having a little bit of a hard time opening up, so we'll see. This is a pharmaceutical stock, a little bit of a different sector and catalyst. You see it hitting the scans there. So the pre-market high on this was 335. That would be a target. Just watching it right now. Nice break through 70 and 80. Probably some people taking profit there if they got in for the break. And now you'll watch in this area, see if it reloads, and if there's people that are going to get in for the break of 3 and then 320. Seems like some sellers at 97, 98. I'd like to see a little bit more momentum out of it. The DWAC is below the VWAP and also below its moving averages, so that's not ideal. Duo is pretty cheap. Don't see news on it. It's a Chinese stock. If there was some type of catalyst, but I don't see one. So we had some great momentum pre-market, but now in the first 20 minutes of regular trading hours, haven't really had any good momentum. So sitting up 20,000 right now puts me up around 150,000 in the last 3 trading sessions. It's a 1 minute false breakout on KRBP there. GRNQ would probably need to get above 250. The Warrior starter class. So in the starter class, we do talk about technical analysis, and we do cover bull flags, flat top breakouts in terms of patterns. The strategy development around those patterns comes into play more in the Warrior Pro class. Chapter 5, we go into intraday chart patterns with more detail. And then chapters 7, 8, and 9, these are all strategy chapters, breaking down the strategies around how I trade those patterns. I don't think we've had any halts going up today either. Just halts going down. 250 psychologically, I'm thinking, although realistically a red to green on this, it would be high a day over 220. So see how the candle on the daily, the high open is 20. So as soon as it goes through 20, it's going to be green on the day. Hitting the scanners. So this is one of those light volume type of ones. These can be really risky, unfortunately. The spreads are huge. It's worth keeping an eye on because you never know, but it's got a really big spread. It's got daily chart 50, 67. It's got light volume, and it's at the halt level right now, which is 44, 45. So I would need to see that halt level move up quite a bit. BKKT curling back to the volume weight average price. That's good to see. But we know it's got a ways before it goes through the high, which is 14. The thing to always watch on these is if on a break of VWAP you got to squeeze like into a halt or something like that, that would certainly be bullish. So this is where I would potentially be thinking rejection at the VWAP. This one, the nice thing about it, you have news, the daily chart's still decent, so this one's better than some of the others. High of that candle was 1270. So high there, 1269. See how it's kind of popping back up a little bit. It's straddling the VWAP in a way. Gets above it, then back below it. Keep watching it. Live went from 33 to 45. Green candles like straight up on the daily. It's nice to see, but the volume is very light. Nice, Jason. Good work. 3,800 bucks. That's a good day. So PHUN selling off, DWAC pulling back a bit. These trade in tandem. So it's 10 a.m. So we're at the end of the first 30 minutes of trading. Locking up $20,000. It's a green day. Hit the daily goal. Was up at 39,000, but gave back 10,000 or 13,000, 14,000 or so on DWAC. Went from green on it to red, and then gave back I think 6,000 or so on BKKT at the open. Tried to take that red to green move on BKKT right here for 13, wherever this was, for that squeeze through 14, and was in a little too early, but we also didn't actually get the red to green move. So definitely a good reminder to take profit, not overstay your welcome if things start to get slow. Always try again tomorrow. BKKT is probably the best looking setup today for a move into tomorrow if it can break over the VWAP and get through 14. That's a pretty big if. And given that our leading gapper has faded and that this one hasn't done very well, it's probably not super likely that we'll see that, but that could be something to keep an eye on. Nice, Greg. Good for you. $8,000 in profit. It's a great start to the week. Nice. 5,000 there. A bias. Very good. 4,000 on BKKT. Good work. Green on all 4 stocks you traded. GRNQ, Mark, DWAC, BKKT. Good. Well, certainly a choppy day from the opening bell on. Disappointed we didn't see a little bit more continuation, but I knew that there was some risk on continuation today, just being that yesterday felt like the top on DWAC. So that was definitely the top yesterday on DWAC. We're in a pullback period right now. We did get some continuation on a few stocks, but definitely a tricky morning. Still watching BKKT. So I took a starter there. I want to see if it breaks through 65. So small little trades here. New orders go at 60. 69. Just kind of trading around this level. It's still a little premature on the 5-minute chart. Watching for, well, I don't want to dip trade it. If it's not going to break at that spot and hold above that level, it's not worth it. Only made like $100 on that trade. Would need to, I'm okay dip trading, but not when it's below VWAP. So I would have to break it, go up to like 80 and maybe 13, and then dip back down to VWAP, and that would be fine. Yeah, GRNQ 220, a spot to watch. Yeah, it makes sense, Jack. There's something about the BKKT chart that I kind of have a feeling it's going to do something, but could be wrong. Halt level going up is 1357. Added back there. Next add is 1275. Watch 1270. Added 1275. I think we're going to get a bigger move on this. Let's see. It's pulling away now from the VWAP. Holding 1,800 shares. New orders at 13. It has that look. The high of this candle is 1342. Nice Manoli, good job. So now I'm going to move my order to 14. What's important on this, and this is doing what I thought it would do. That's super high volume there. Adding now at 40. Now for the squeeze up to 14. Watch over 1350. Putting a new order at $14. Adding there at 75. Yeah. There was something about this one. Taking some profit. I'm going to watch on resumption with a new order at 14.25. It's a strong trade into the halt. Now, if I'd had a little more conviction, I wouldn't have sold anything. I could have just held from 12.69. But one of the things we always know is that you never know how high a stock is going to move. And so the right thing to do is to take some profit on the way. And the thing for me, this is recognizing patterns. The thing for me is that I really didn't want to lose more than 300 bucks. I wanted to close at least at 20,000 on the day. So my mental risk was $400 on that trade. So that's why I had to take some profit and then add back, and then take some profit and add back. So holding right now at 1365, which is certainly higher, but I have no problem adding higher when it shows these types of moves. This is a inverted head and shoulders pattern. And because of the strong halt up, I'm going to look for a dip on a pullback and then a move up towards 15, 16. Well, it's not perfect. It's not perfect inverted head and shoulders, but that's not the problem. What's good is that the volume, the highest volume candle of the day, is as it was squeezing up here. That's what's important. CYN. We'll see. We'll see. SJ, 29% short interest. Okay, that's good to note. CYN, the high was 91. Halt level's 833. It's sort of close. I don't see warrants on BKKT. CYN, so bought 700 shares. We'll see if it squeezes higher. Only got a partial fill on my 3,000 share order, but I don't want to chase it too much. So you see how CYN did a false break? It broke over 8 and then dipped back below it. You want to see these break and hold over those levels. So I don't mind if it dips but gets right back above. Cut the loss. It's a small loss. So BKKT will be watching for resumption in about 1 minute. Alright, so BKKT, I'm going to put my order at 1450. I don't know if we're going to see multiple halts on this, but the high volume there with a strong daily chart and the news headline today is a good combination. So let's watch resumption. So we're still halted, which tells me it's going to be a likely 10-minute long halt, but I'll give it another moment. So a 10-minute long halt after that high volume could be a bigger gap. Big gap would be nice. Wouldn't mind that. 14.50, 15. I could put an order at 15 just to be safe. So I saw the inverted head and shoulders sort of right here, like this is the head, shoulder, shoulder. I saw it kind of in that form, but so I can just prepare an order like this, 15, and all I have to do is click the buy button. Now, of course, it's halted, so clicking the buy button right now, it won't get filled, but I can always just have the order there. So watching, so let me move this back down here. Added there, now looking for the squeeze to 15. Watch the break over $15. There's 15.10, taking some profit off the table. Now letting it pull back. So that was unusual, very unusual to open a little delayed. High is 15.29. Dip trade there, bought the dip for the break back over 15. Holding at 84. New order goes 15.20. Taking a little more profit off the table. It's a little top heavy here. I think waiting for a nice 1 minute pullback would make sense. The high is 15.40. Holding just small size. So the high of this candle is 15.40. Dip trade at 62, bought the dip. So I'm trying to dip off of the $0.50, and then add is over 14.85 as it curls back up. So added at 14.85. Now look for the break back over 15. There's 97. Taking a little profit at 96 just to be safe. Added back at 15. Now looking for 15.25. And the squeeze through 15.50. There we go. Watching 15.45 for an add. Added at 44. Now looking for the squeeze up to 16. So now we're working with some nice momentum here. Holding 1,000 shares. Reducing my size. High of this candle is 15.80. High there, 15.80. So that's $26,000 in profit based on $300 of initial risk on this entry right here, break of VWAP. So we still have a blue sky, no, it's not blue sky setup. We have a strong daily chart. We have a lot of room on the daily chart. It's not blue sky for a little ways, but it's a fairly recent IPO. The break of 16 is pretty important. There's a bit of resistance that we've had in this level before. And then we'll look for the back of mind potential, which would be 22.56. So we're definitely in a hot market when you're seeing this level of momentum. Added at 60, now looking for the squeeze to 16. Next add is 75 and 85 as it starts to pull away here. Watch over 75. Adding at 65, next add 75, then 85 for the squeeze up to $16. Holding 2,200 shares. Little chop there. Double top needs to break over 80. New order 1585. Watching, added at 25 on the dip. So dip trade there at 25. Now looking for the break back over 1550. There's 47. Nice. 60. So what we are working with right now is a small flat top breakout. I'm going to try to keep adding at 43. I'm going to keep trying to buy dips for the break through 80. Watching over 77. Added there. Now looking for 16. Watch the break over 75. So a little chop there. It broke and then pulled back a little bit. I'm holding 2,000 shares. Reduced my size. Now watching for another dip entry. Added at 17 to buy the dip. So buying dips. There's big bids that just came out on the level 2. I just saw another big bid on this. So now the next add is going to be over 55 for 65.70. There's a bid right there. Adding at 39. We've got a big bid at 36. Took some profit at 55. Big bid still at 36. Watching to add again off these levels. High of this candle is 89. Added at 42 because of the big bid. Now looking for 65.75. No, the bid got taken out. Stopped out at 29. Added at 87, bought the dip, 97. This is off the 9 moving average. Watching for pullback, and then the break over 15. Buying dips is an important strategy on these types of stocks. 15.10, 15.20. Puts me back up over 50,000. Mark out the high of 89. Nice on Tesla. Tesla also doing a red to green move. The break over 70 will probably get some volume. So see these recoveries, these are really strong. This is kind of like what it did in this area though, where it pops up and pulls back. So right now at this point, the question is, do short sellers get squeezed out? So quick long for me there at 71. Next add is 81 and 91. I'm looking for a short squeeze through 16. Watch over 91 for the add. Added there. Nice. And I take profit off at 16 just to be safe, but then look to add back. I'm still holding 4,000 shares. Watching. Reducing on the pullback because it dropped quite a bit. So that ended up being a break-even trade, more or less. Even though we got the tap of 16, it reversed off that level. Volume is declining a bit. I agree, 16 is a big level on the daily. So it's okay the first attempt at that level didn't break. We'll keep watching it. It still has a high level of short interest and it's up 68%. See how it rips right back up? Added 82 for a second attempt through 16. Watch at 96 and 97. A little chop there, watching. Watch the next dip for the next add, and then the break through 16. Nice. Now can it hold 16 this time? If it can, 16.25 add spot for a move up to 17. It's holding well enough, so I'm adding here now for 16.50. Watch over 35 and 45. See as it starts to pull away faster. Watch over 45 for the squeeze up towards 17. Yep. So now over 65 is my next add. Adding at 65 for the squeeze up to 17. 17.03 target. Watching 95 for my next add. Added at 95. So adding into this squeeze. Reducing size a little bit. We're coming up to a yellow descending resistance line. Nice break of 16, a full $1 a share. Holding just small size now, watching dips. Added at 45, bought the dip, 44. Now watch this on the first pullback and the pop back up over 1650. Added there at 30. So looking on this for the break back over 1650 and then the squeeze through 17. I think it's important to be looking at dips on these ones when they're trading like this. Watching 48 and 50. There's 43. Reducing size a little bit. Break even more or less. It's a red topping tail candle. Now, a red topping tail candle can get reclaimed if we break through the high, which is 1725. There's a big buyer I just saw in the bid. I'll move my order up to 1730. Look at this recovery on that flush. The fact that the dip is getting bought up this well is really good. Added at 78 for the break back over 17. Next, add 1710. Added 1710. Nice big bid at 1710. Now look for 1720. Added at 28 for the break of 1750. So I want to ride that momentum a little bit higher. 98 on the ask. Cut that loss. Gave back 3,000 on that trade, but that's okay. Again, with this type of trading, it's buy high, sell higher, buy high, sell higher, buy high, take a loss, get out, take a breath, come back if it looks better, or just say, hey, I gave back a little off the top. That's okay too. Two topping tails. And then see how it comes right back up. So our new high is 1738. Add it again, now looking for 1750. Each time it squeezes up a little higher, that's showing us good momentum. So next add is 1735 and 45. Watching 35.45 for the squeeze through 1750. The question on this is, will we get that break of 1750 and like a parabolic move up to 18, 19, or 20? So watching right here for an add. Bought the dip at 1715 for the break through 1730. There's 38, there's 40, taking some profit off at 45. New order 55. We know we keep running into this sort of resistance level where it hits these levels and then pulls back. It's extended up here for sure. Have to manage risk carefully. Five minutes extended. Might be okay to wait for a 5-minute pullback at this point. I don't know why it's topping out right there. I think the real spot is a little higher up, but maybe I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that's just the way I drew this candle. It's not bad though. I mean, that almost seems more accurate there, and then we'd be above it. Watching 1750, we're up 88%. I missed it. I was looking at the chart. Looking at the chart, not the level 2, and I missed the entry there. But it keeps topping out and then pulling back a little bit. So given the 5-minute has gone from 12 up to 1750, it is due for a 5-minute pullback. So if we're going to look for, you know, fireworks, kind of parabolic, straight up, we would need to break through these levels with some volume. I don't like that high volume red candle. I would agree with that. That was, but then we did break back above it. The high was 1725. So this is a predictable pullback, given how extended we are. The question is, where will we find support? The 9 moving average is right down there around 1650. I'll take a 2,000 share starter at that level, and we'll see if it pops right back up over 17. So from 73 to 95 by itself is a 20-cent trade. There's nothing wrong with taking profit as it goes up to that level. And if it breaks 17, take a little more off the table, 17.15. It's still extended on the 5. That's just a little bit of a pullback setup. So stop the rest, break even, and then watch for another possible dip entry. The low of this pullback was 1650, so 1650 could be another spot to watch. Sold the rest at 97 for now. Nice, Andre. Good for you. Nice trading. Some people might be shorting kind of in these areas because you have this red topping tail and it's sort of, you know, it's extended. EQOS on another scan, moving up a little bit. Dip trade at 52, bought the dip down there. So trying to buy the dip off the $0.50. I'm expecting it'll reclaim that level, but we'll see what it does. Adding at 1603, support at the whole dollar of 16. Now looking for the break back over 1625. We know that the dips have been getting bought up pretty well on this one. So watching 1625, 1635, 1645. Now it starts to pull away, that's good. Next order 1650 to add. We're starting to line up for a 5-minute setup here. Watch over 1635. We reclaim 1650, then we're looking for a move back to 17. So these dips are getting bought up pretty nicely. Watching for an add. This is a bottoming tail on the 5. So holding full size and looking to add over 17. Added right there at 17. Next add 1725. Add at 1720. So watch here as it starts to curl higher. We're going to look for the squeeze back through the high. this candle right here, the high is 1772, so I'm looking for a move to 18. Watch for the ad over 1725, 1730, then the break of 18. Nice setup here. Buying the dip at 88. Now looking for the trade through 1725 and 1750. So good job on this one. This was a beautiful dip trade. High of this candle is 1719, so 1719 is the next ad spot. Beautiful dip. Right now we're getting a bottoming tail candle on the 5 with 2 minutes left. So that's going to set up our first 5-minute candle to make a new high, then for the break through 1750. $17.10 is the next spot to watch. So the high of this candle right here is 17.19. We've got 1 minute left on this candle, which is a bottoming tail on the 5. Watching for an ad. Watch for dips. We're still in the 5-minute setup. We've got 1 minute left on this candle. Added at 71 to buy the dip. These dips give nice buying opportunities to add for the breakthrough 17. 40 seconds left on this 5-minute candle. And then we're going to look to add for the break of 17.19 and the first 5-minute candle make a new high for retest of the high day. $20 seconds left on this 5-minute candle, and then we're going to have a 5-minute bull flag setup. We're in a consolidation here under 17, watching for an ad. 4 seconds left, adding at 79. Next ad will be 89 and 99 for the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. So there's 85, added at 99. Can we break through 17, holding 1,000 shares? No, new order goes at 17.19, 17.20. I'll put it at 17.30. That's the 5-minute candle right there. Need to break right over 17. I've sized up a little too heavy through that consolidation here. And the risk with that is if it breaks up but then immediately reverses, or it false breaks, then I'm in too heavy. So from the dip at 16.40 and adding at 16, that was a really nice squeeze, $1 a share up to 17.19, but it didn't break through on the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. Well, not yet. So we're still in a consolidation period. CYN moving a little bit higher as well. I've traded that one twice and lost on it both times, so I'm not sure. But the daily level, it's all-time high over 870, so I liked the idea of it for that blue sky setup. But it needs to move a bit faster. So unfortunately BKKT there breaking the downside of that consolidation is not what I wanted to see. DWAC is a similar curling setup, but not quite as strong because of how much it pulled back. So we're coming up to about 11 a.m. So I'll probably sit here at just under $60,000 for the morning. So that's 60 today, 115 yesterday, so that's, or Friday, so that's 275. Sorry, 175. And then I was already up around 100 on the month, so it's going to put me up around, yeah, 260, 270 on the month. Just a couple of days of really hot momentum is all it takes. The biggest challenge is sitting on the sidelines and waiting for good opportunities, number one. So not over trading out of boredom. And then number two, today I started to dig myself a hole and I had to be really careful. But today is one of those days where I was able to calmly, after that good loss, kind of just sit there for like, I don't know, half an hour until this setup looked good. And I gave it one try and then stopped out, and then I tried it again. I thought it was going to, I didn't know how high, but I thought just there was something about it, being that it was one of the leading gappers with some good news. So I got it. And that brought me from 20,000 on the day as of 10 a.m. before this squeeze to 60,000. So I made about $40,000 on the move from 1270 to 1370, so about $5 a share. So if I'd held 10,000 shares for the entire move, that could have been $50,000. But scaled in and out. I don't think I went higher than 15,000 or 16,000 shares. I didn't trade it too heavy. Maybe 18,000 at the most. I don't think I was that heavy though on this one. Yep, all of these setups I teach in the classes, of course. So this was a VWAP breakout. The big trade was a VWAP breakout. The previous ones were half dollar, whole dollar entries, micro pullbacks. Traded a little longer today, 10:45. I'm going to call it a day at $59,646.19 and come back and try again tomorrow. We'll see what the market wants to give us tomorrow. The reason I'm kind of thinking I'm done is because I don't like how that was stair-stepping down here, and I don't want to overstay my welcome in a period of declining volume. And I usually trade the morning, so I have to leave here at probably in half an hour anyways, so I'll just take this off the table. Be back tomorrow. All right, good job today, everyone. I hope you got green. Hope you learned something. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Again, those on YouTube, Facebook, I hope you hit the thumbs up. I hope you've subscribed to the channel. I hope you enjoy the live morning show. Of course, if you want to learn more about trading, we'd love to have you join the classes, join the community over at warriortrading.com. So I hope to see some of you guys over there. And remember, as always, the YouTube feed does have a little bit of latency. You can see my announcement at the top there. That's just the way YouTube is. They don't use the super expensive streaming servers for these free broadcasts, but I do in our chat room. So in our chat room, you'll enjoy very, very low latency broadcasts. And as you can imagine, in a fast-moving market, it can make a big difference. So thanks again for tuning in today, and we'll do it again tomorrow. All right, see you in the morning.